That's what Martin Luther King called it in 1967 at the Riverside Church in New York City, as he realized that unless civil rights advocates, students, and Americans from every race, creed, and ideology got together, the Vietnam War would destroy a great society and divide and devastate a generation of idealistic young Americans that I see out there now. And it is a phrase that Senator Barack Obama used last year to inspire millions of young Americans to vote for the first time and to believe that they could change the future even against insurmountable odds, against vicious lies, and against a racist rumor mill based on fears and not facts. And finally last week, we heard from our president, we heard that same focus on the moment, that same rejection of the status quo, and that sharp determination to act now. The fierce urgency of now. Did you hear it? Did you feel it? Do you feel it now? I hope so, because now is the time to act. Now is the time to tell the House of Representatives that we need a strong public option to keep insurance companies honest and control costs. Now is the time to tell the U.S. Senate that it's time to come to the table. It's time to stop inventing ways to avoid the issue, to stop waiting for the perfect deal, to stop watering down a good public program into small local co-ops who lack the clout and purchasing power to provide a low-cost alternative to the hundreds of thousands of New Mexicans who need it desperately. And make no mistake, no matter how eloquent our president is, it is Congress that holds the lock and the key on health care reform. And if Congress fails to act, and act boldly, every other cause that we hold dear will suffer. It will become much harder to enact strong measures to control climate control, and it will be much harder to address an incipient war in Vietnam, this one in Afghanistan. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. It ticks for both the insured and the uninsured. If you are a family or a business with insurance, your premium has doubled in the past 10 years, straining your budget and the state's to the breaking point. The full cost of average employer-sponsored health insurance plan for a family in New Mexico today is an annual $13,500, accounting for 31% of median household income. And it will get much worse, according to a recent study by the New America Foundation, which uses New Mexico as a worst-case scenario. By 2016, that's not that far away, it will cost $28,500 annually and take up to 56% of median family income. Small businesses and families are hanging on by their fingernails, and often they are falling off the cliff into the vast army of the uninsured. The uninsured now account for almost 1 in every 4 New Mexicans. Without insurance, these New Mexicans will fall further into poor health, delaying life-saving checkups and tests, sinking deeper into chronic disease, or giving up hope. Meanwhile, they require higher-priced care. They flood emergency rooms, driving up the prices for the rest of us. And the cycle continues, and it has continued for almost 2 decades in New Mexico now. And there is no safety net. Not now. Not in an era of financial crisis where the state of New Mexico, for example, is in the hole to the tune of $450 million for last year alone. And we are wondering how to deal with the new folks who are now applying for Medicaid because they have lost their jobs, their homes, and they see their assets shrinking. In the time of Martin Luther King and the Great Society, we were building safety nets, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Head Start. Now we are shredding them. Next month, the New Mexico legislature will go into a special session. On the table are hundreds of millions of dollars in Medicaid cuts for people with disabilities, for rural health care clinics, school nurses, EMTs, treatment centers for people with mental illness, programs that actually help those who have fallen on hard times. Rising prices, a swelling army of the uninsured, busted budgets, a shredded safety net, further divisions amongst those who have and those who have not. That is the fierce urgency of now. That is the status quo in New Mexico and much of the U.S., where overall 14,000 lose their insurance every day. That is the cost of doing nothing, that those who are now telling us on TV to beware of the fast sale on health care reform, those who are stirring up a new round of lies based on a new set of fears, that is the reality that they don't want us to talk about. They don't want us to talk about it because in every study we have done in New Mexico, and now on the national level, the cost of doing nothing is more expensive than any kind of reform, with or without a public option.